Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another video. So yesterday, obviously we discussed a potential pullback in the short term for crypto. I just want to make it super clear now that I am on the fence with either direction as to what happens in the short term. Medium to long term, as you know, I think we start to head upwards as we discussed yesterday. With that being said, I have found a few things I want to talk to you guys about. I'm going to talk to you about XRP today. And in the newsletter, I'm going to go into a few extra things. I'm going to write it today as well because I'm traveling tomorrow again. So we may publish it tomorrow, so a day early, or on Saturday. But bear in mind that I'll have written it 2 days before publication, which obviously can change things. But in the short term, I'm nowhere near as convinced as I was we were going to have a pullback as to what I think right now. I think it's most likely that we have another short-term pullback, whether that's a flush of the lows or just to come back and basically stop out the late longs, people getting in long now, and then head on higher from there. All of this I don't know, and with it, a narrative probably comes, maybe the ceasefire in Israel and Iran changes, but realistically, the macro news, the long-term news is super promising. Yesterday, I think this is one of the most significant things I've ever seen, genuinely, is that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac basically mortgage, the US Federal Housing Association essentially said that the US will be looking at, or Trump ordered them to prepare businesses to count cryptocurrency as an asset for mortgages, which would essentially allow you to use your crypto as collateral for a house in the US, which I think down the line probably has some issues with it in one way or another, but also probably means that the volatility in crypto will come down over time, but also that if there is significant volatility, the US will have to backstop. If this is the case and this happens, the US will have to backstop crypto, because if you have, let's say 20% of people do that. It's obviously a large figure as of right now, but let's just say 20% of people, whatever people holding crypto, why would you not use that as an asset to back your mortgage? If you're already sitting on it anyway, it doesn't make a difference really. If you're just holding it for long-term appreciation, you may as well use it as collateral. So then if there is a significant pullback and that collateral depreciates by 50%, let's say, everybody who's done that is going to be underwater. And that's where you can obviously have housing problems. So I pretty much think that it means that the US almost have to back the price at this point, or it would mean that. So I know that's like a long-term scenario, worst case, but in the short term, I think it's going to lead to an influx of people buying crypto, and who've got crypto move into the US if that's allowed. Because why wouldn't you just pretty much get a free house just for holding crypto? That's essentially what they're saying. If you've got enough crypto, I don't know what the percentage of collateral will be allowed, but it's smart from the US in a way, because it's going to bring an influx of foreign capital potentially to US shores and lock it in a US bank, or at least have a contract on it to basically say that the bank owns it. So if it probably does dip under a certain amount, they probably get to seize it, etc. So it brings money on shore, but it also means that the housing market will probably boom. And so will crypto, because people are just going to buy crypto and use it to get a house. A lot of people buy crypto, see the appreciation, sell it, and buy property anyway. So now they don't even have to sell the crypto and they can still get the property. So I think it's exciting, definitely, for crypto and the housing market in the US in the short term. And I wonder if other countries around the world will do the same or similar. We know, for example, in Dubai, you can buy tokenized assets. This is like a step between that. If they both could come in on chain, it could start to get really interesting. And it's one of the things that I think is adding to the macro picture that people don't understand, that crypto is probably going to go significantly higher this cycle, even probably higher than I expect. My targets are between 150 and 180. More recently, I've put them up to about 220 because of the amount of time I've been consolidating in this area, and we've seen more data come out, like the ISM's ticking up, global M2's all-time highs. Makes me feel like we probably go higher than 150, 180, but with things like this coming out, seeing, for example, yesterday, NATO put their defense spend up to 5% of GDP, massive for influx of capital. Andreas Larsen yesterday was talking about SLR exemptions for banks. Here he was saying, look, I would argue that SLR relief suggested by the Fed is worth 1.5 to 2 months of COVID QE in terms of impact. it's good news, essentially. So basically liquidity is like rolling in and we haven't really seen an uptick in price. And with that being said, I do think in the short term we do come down. I'm going to show you something else that I found recently. Just as I talked about, let's just look at liquidity first. So this is Bitcoin. Significant liquidity is here above us. We've had this liquidity building up here. We've broken through the bottom of this area and we've got a bit of we're just basically breaking this short-term uptrend, or this short-term trend line. We probably come down to at least 104 because that's where the reversal of this short-term trend would be. And I said this fair value gap here, which is this area here, is the likely area of support between 102 and 100, but there is a strong area of support at 97. So if we do overshoot, get that double bottom, get that, what I was talking about, bullish divergence on the RSI, could we come down to this area here? Let me show you what I'm potentially seeing. Could we potentially come down to here and bounce and go? And with the RSI, you'd be looking at putting in a higher low and then sending it from there, stopping out a lot of longs. But we also could just stop in this area here, like I was saying, the likely support area. So that's what I'm looking at. Now, I said I found something extra, and I've been looking at USDT.D, which is USDT dominance, and potentially found some short-term price action that could suggest that we come down a little bit. So I didn't even mean to draw that line, but what I'm basically showing you is here, we've had this, I'll take you on the weekly just so you can see everything I've drawn, so it looks a bit like a mess at the minute. We had this long uptrend for USDT dominance, which is basically the amount of people holding stable coins. We topped out about 8%. We're at 4.83 right now, and then we're in this like descending parallel channel where we touch the top, touch the bottom, touch the top, and then we've come like halfway into the channel. And I think there's an argument to say we could potentially go back towards the top of the range here, and then probably reverse from there. That's what I'd be looking at. So if that happened, that's where you could really see, like you'd see a push up here. That's where crypto would come down in value, and then we'd probably see there and down. That's what I'd be looking for. Bitcoin dominance bleeding out, and that obviously is capital rotating into markets. And I'm going to expand, and I have a little bit more alpha on that, which I'm looking at here. I'm just going to show you that quickly. And I just gave you a quick preview of what I'm going to talk about, one thing in the newsletter. So I just wanted to show you that, guys. So I think that that's what's potentially coming. It makes sense. I said to you guys, everything got too bullish too quick. Normally in this case, there is a bit of a flush out. However, I'm not against things just going up from here. Like, let me show you XRP, for example. All my XRP charts are quite messy because I've been drawing on them. But if I show you XRP on the weekly, like this thing looks very good. Oh, for God's sake. This thing looks very good as long as, or not as long as, it doesn't have to be this week, but if we get a bullish weekly engulfing candle here, the RSI will cross bullish and the stochastic will cross bullish. If we get a little bit more of a push and finish the week above, like, say, 240, that'd be fantastic. There's still 3 days, 12 hours left of the week, so we could still come back and return to the upside within this week, but it might have to be next week that it starts to happen. I don't know exactly when these things are going to happen, guys. I'm just showing you what I see on the charts. But if we look in the short term at XRP, I can show you why I think we could just as easily go up as we could come down. Is that XRP is doing this like weird thing that it often does when we start to look bullish. We've had the lows, we come up, and then we break above the like recent consolidation pattern and hold above it, creating a range, and then dip below the range and potentially send higher. Now, that is a possibility, especially as if you look at this candle, look, we hit the descending trend line again and reverse from that area. But my base case is we still come down one more time and flush the lows. Again, there's a nice fair value gap here on the hourly. Could come into this area here, take a bounce and head higher, or we could just come down and flush the lows one more time. As I've literally discussed to you guys so many times, this is my base case. So the scenario I get before that is sometimes there's some trickery with altcoins, especially when we start to get into bullish season, which we're very close to. That's why I say I'm not that confident anymore, because the flush we've had, whether this is the rest of this now is just like a bit of messing around to work out the end of the range, in my opinion, before we send it higher. So my next thought is we send it higher. I've allocated all that I'm going to allocate, but let's just look at XRP, for example, on the liquidity charts. I was going to show you XRP on the 4 hour because I think that's the most important one. just to show you that there is still that liquidity below us. Whether we take it or not, again, I really don't know. It's my base case that we do. May as well just get rid of that there. Come into that area, it's at like 188 sort of, maybe even towards like 185, and then send it to the upside where the densest liquidity resides. That's essentially what I'm seeing for XRP. A similar story to ETH. ETH's got another pocket just below us, just below the recent lows. Look, dense liquidity comes down to like 1980, somewhere around there, and then sends it up to 3,000 plus, and then realistically continues towards all-time highs. That's essentially all that I really have to report on today in terms of what's going on in the markets. XRP did have this spike of open interest. Let me see if I can show you that it's continuing to work higher on open interest here, and funding has basically stayed positive. So I do think that if we lose, like say, 213, we probably quite quickly return to 202, maybe just in a short, sharp wick down a flush, and then we continue up and go towards those all-time highs. That's basically what I'm thinking happens. We're working out the end of a range. I've shown you all the bullish price action. One last thing actually I'll report on is, I don't know if I talked about this yesterday, but isn't it mad that Arthur Brito has been anonymous, who's a co-founder of the XRP ledger, Arthur Brito. Let me see if I can find this tweet. He's a co-founder of the XRP ledger. He said nothing for 14 years on X, and then, let me see if I can find him, H. Brito. He said nothing for 14 years on X. No one's ever seen him. Apart from the people he works with. He's on the active member of the board of Ripple. I think he's on the board of RLUSD, and he just tweets this on the 23rd of June. No context, nothing. That's it. First time he's tweeted in 14 years. He's changed his banner again today. It was blue yesterday. So I don't know. Don't know what that means. He also followed one extra person, who is Jack McDonald and Roger Ver. I don't know which one he followed. I presume he already followed Roger Ver, and then I recently followed Jack McDonald. But what does that mean? I don't know. Co-founder of the XRP ledger, the only person in the world who has rights just to edit the ledger whenever he wants on his discretion. I think he holds 2 billion XRP, or at least had the rights to 2 billion XRP. Co-founder of RLUSD, or at least on the board of Ripple. Completely anonymous. No one's ever seen him. Make of that what you will, guys. I really don't know about that one. It's just something crazy is about to happen, I think, and it's going to be super positive for XRP. Things are adding towards that, in my opinion. But I'll leave that there, because I'm just going to start getting into conspiracy now. So I'm going to write the newsletter now. I've got some alpha for you there as well. I think you'll enjoy that one. And basically, don't get too caught up in whatever happens in the next week or so. I think this is it, the end of the range. I'm fully allocated in terms of stable coins. I've got some leverage long positions, bids still in for XRP, as I said, but I've been allocating heavily to ENA, as you guys know. I've just been continuing to buy ENA, and I'm pretty much out of stables now. The only way I can get more stables is if I close some of my bids on my long positions for XRP and keep buying spot. I'm not going to do that now. I've got everything that I wanted. I think if I don't think we're going to sweep the lows, or something changes, then I'll probably close those bids. But for now, I really don't know. As I said, that's why I'm fully in on my stable coins to spot crypto. Obviously, my bags are 95% XRP. I probably just put about 1 to 2% in ENA, because I think it's an ETH beta play. You could pick CRV, you could pick ENA, you could pick any beta play like Uniswap, Aave, flipping Sushi Swap, whatever you want that you track. I pick ENA because I think it's low float, high FTV, meaning that it probably comes down a lot when people aren't talking about it, and it's still got tokens being unlocked into circulation, so that obviously adds sell pressure. But then those people are then incentivized to talk about the asset, and the asset then should go. I don't have any of those tokens, by the way. I've got nothing to be unlocked for me. I do stake some of my ENA, but the majority of it's just on my ledger. So basically, I think that there's probably going to be some promotion campaigns happening for it. It's got USDE, which is a stable coin, over $4 billion in liquidity on that stable coin. And so I'm looking at potentially seeing a full Fibonacci extension here up towards the $4 or $5 mark. And we're at 25 cents. So it'd be a fantastic return if we get it. If we get up, just for full transparency, if we get into the retracement levels up towards like $1, 120, I'll probably start dropping my bags and continue to sell all the way up if we get that. So that's why I've been buying that. I think it's good risk to reward. Nothing's a cert. I don't have any ETH exposure, and this is my ETH exposure essentially. It's a gamble. It's a low cap gamble, but it's a gamble with a few percent of my portfolio. If it starts to do 10, 20x, fantastic. Even 5x, fantastic. It becomes then, if it's say 2% of my portfolio, it then becomes 10% of your portfolio. Start to de-risk into stables. At that point, that's what I'll do, and that's the way I think you should play your portfolios generally. That's how I do it. I'm defensive. If something doubles or triples, start to take a little bit out, keep it at the same percentage of your portfolio that it was before, and moving things into stables and having some stables on the side brings ease of mind for two reasons. One, you can use it to live. Two, if you get a dip, you can buy some more crypto, and that's a nice position to be in. So I'll leave you there, guys. I've chatted to you a bit today. I don't have too much to add. It's exciting times. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you want to make any leverage trades, be careful, but you can use my links in the description below to WEX and MEXC. My newsletter is completely free. It'll be out either tomorrow or Saturday, probably on Saturday as it normally is. It's just remember I'm traveling tomorrow, so I'm writing it today. Peace up, A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.